Hello my guys, gals and non-binary pals, and welcome to a new episode of Them Fatales, where we are reviewing Lizzo's Watch Out for the Big Girls!
Watch out for the big girls, watch out for the big girls.
Before we get into it, let me thank our Patreons. We have 2 new ones, we have 7 now. Thank you so much. Your support on Patreon is what directly allows us to even dedicate time to this channel at the moment. We're really young, we are really small, so that is the most direct way that you can actually support our work here, spending time in books, doing research, that kind of thing. So if you are in a comfortable economical position, you can join us on Patreon. $1, $2, $5, everything helps. But again, just if you are in a safe economical position. And instead of Patreon, if you would like a one-off donation, there is PayPal as well. And now let's get on to the episode, the final one. It is episode 8, it's the finale. And I'll be honest with you, I'm sorry that we're at the end. Lizzo, when are we doing season 2? We're doing season 2 because I would like very much. It's been so revolutionary to see this kind of thing shown on basically what is TV today, stream on a big platform like Amazon. I have my issues with Amazon, but that's another story for another time. What socialist doesn't have an issue with Amazon? But it is great to have witnessed this. I've witnessed things that I know firsthand because I'm a fat girl, but I don't think anyone that hasn't lived in a fat body throughout their life can picture, can imagine the fact that these were talking points worth discussing, worth doing this series for, and just bring to the attention the fact that all the fat phobia and fat rage on the surface is not justified. It doesn't take an 8-episode series to realize that. But I'm glad that I had the chance to bring to you really in-depth explanations as to why all this kind of control that society wants to have on our bodies and judgment that it puts on them if we do not adhere to the beauty standard, it's a system of control, and a very cruel one at that. Is misogynistic, it's racist, it's rooted in very strong white supremacism. So don't be fatphobic, which I guess if it was as easy as to sell someone, we wouldn't have kind of hate crimes done in the name of, oh, I just want you to be healthy. But we are there, but I hope that things like this show will start to push history towards the decent side of things, and hopefully in 50, 100 years people will look back and look at people that were being fatphobic and harassing fat girls and fat people to just pity them and look down on them as they deserve, because we're talking about human rights here, and as I said in many videos before this one, it doesn't take me fitting in any kind of beauty mold for you to respect me as a human being. The fact that you expect me as a woman to have a certain kind of beauty, otherwise I offend you looking at me because fundamentally you don't want to fuck me, well, that's not good. Simple human dignity should be given to every human being, regardless of how they look, regardless of how healthy they are. There's no need for added ableism there. So I think that's something that was worth saying. But getting ahead of myself again, without further ado, let's start the beautiful episode 8, the finale.
Well, I have some news.
Oh gosh.
Oh. I know. Bonnaroo's been canceled due to hurricane. No way.
As we saw at the end of the previous episode, Bonnaroo is cancelled like a few days before it actually happens because there's a hurricane coming, so wouldn't be safe. And there's a lot, I think, in this. Like, not only was what the girls were looking forward to, what the entire show was based around, there's Bonnaroo. It was also the first show that Lizzo was gonna do after the pandemic, after 2 years of not playing last year. So There was a lot on this, and in a sense, it's a bit of a bummer, but it gets better.
And this time it's like a hurricane that's moving through, where I grew up. So I'm concerned more so about like what this means for us as humanity. Like, we keep shutting things down because of these global crises. It's really nerve-wracking and scary.
Bless Lizzo for saying that. We keep ignoring the fact everywhere that, guess what? Climate change is real, and these shitty weather things keep happening more and more often because of that. Where I come from in Italy, there's been a drought for the last 4 or 5 months throughout winter, which is the time when they have water. No, there was a complete drought. You didn't have some rivers there. Here in the UK, it's getting weirder and weirder in weather, floods in places that had never flooded before. What does it take? The issue with climate change and the fact that, I'm going to say something controversial here, as the little one individual can only do so much, and what we change cannot counteract what industries and corporations are doing. Guess what? I had to do some research into this a couple of years ago about the impact of all industries, agriculture, transportation, and how they affect CO2 levels and methane levels. And guess what? We can say all we want, and the responsibility from the corporations has been moved to us to go vegan, to not do too many washing machines, to not use hot water, to not leave the lights on, all that kind of stuff, to go around the house with a jumper. That will never offset the issue until corporations decide to crack down on the damage that they are doing. Transportation, I think, takes for 70% of the issues in the world, and most of it, guess what, like 90% of it, it's an issue of corporation. It's not a transportation of me and you. But they don't want to be called out on that. Why? Because there are billionaires at the head of that bizarrely, despite the interest of this kind of tendentially white cis men to have the accumulation of wealth to pass through generations, they are somewhat forgetting that there are generations to come, their generations to come, like even if it's just for the pleasure of passing on their own sperm. They seem to be forgetting that because their only preoccupation is, well, I won't be here to deal with the mess, so I prefer to have more money now and not stop doing what I do, rather than starting to fix the issue, because you know what, it doesn't change for me, I'll be dead by then. Do I need to explain how sociopathic that kind of attitude is? Hopefully not, but that's basically been the main attitude of every white cis man in power, especially old ones, especially in America. Because, I mean, someone that, like Bezos himself, owner of Amazon, which this show is onto, decided that he can spend a couple of billions just to go on tourism on a rocket, space rocket shaped unmistakably like a penis, just because he can. Guys, we are going insane. I don't understand why we're not down in the streets acting upon the revolution, because these people don't care, and they are not just ruining life for us, they are ruining the only house that we have, which is our planet, just because they are 40, 50, and so they don't need to care about what happens in another 50 years because they'll be dead.
Keep your bags packed, because you're going to be joining me on stage still, because we are going to my next show, the city where I got my big start, Minneapolis, Minnesota. We still doing it, y'all.
So the show that they are then playing, because Bonnaroo was being cancelled, is actually in Minneapolis, where Lizzo started her career. And I think one of the most crucial thing here is that Bonnaroo is a festival, so you pay and go to see different acts, which Lizzo was headlining, fair enough. But this is her solo show, so all people paying there are there to see Lizzo. So I think that's indeed a great audience for the girls to have and play for and dance for.
And if granted the opportunity to go on tour, I may have to withdraw from school, depending on where the tour dates and stuff lie. And I don't want to put school on the back burner, but at the same time, school is going to be there if this opportunity isn't.
So Asia's story overlaps mine a tiny bit. So my university years were really long. University works slightly different in Italy. There's a lot of pressure to get certain kind of marks, really high marks. If you don't get the right marks, you can refuse a mark on an exam, and you just go do it again and again and again and again and again. In 2007, I was 4 exams shy of my bachelor's degree. And for a series of crazy chance, which I mentioned briefly in a video before, my CV out of nothing was picked up by one of the HR managers at MTV in Italy, which was basically to me what going on tour with Lizzo is for these girls. I had worked for the last 12 years at that point, yes, really, to work in the music industry. And getting a call from MTV in Italy meant doing the kind of job that I was preparing myself to do, being in school, being in university. And when I had the interview and I was basically almost offered the job on the spot, my answer was, for 4 hours, for 4 of the longest hours in my life, was I need to think about it. What I did after the interview was going back to campus, because I was living in the campus of the university, and go to speak to the career advisor, which had been great with me in the 5 years that I'd been there, 6 years almost. And she basically told me, Alicia, with all due respect, you have come back to Italy to finish university. I'd been living in Ireland for 2 years at the time, and I just needed to focus and finish. I was back in Milan for that. You're here for this year because you want to finish university, but you've been given an opportunity that is the kind of opportunity, of job opportunity, of paid internship, which doesn't happen in Italy. You want this kind of opportunity to be the one that are given to you once you get your degree. You're getting it before your degree is finished. You can keep taking exams here, and that's fine, and you can come back taking exams. But I haven't heard of anyone that was still here, that was offered a job like this. So that is the kind of thing that you cannot say no to, because you don't know if it's going to come again. The exams, they are here every session. They are here in the summer session, in the winter session. They keep on being here. But getting called from MTV to get a job that is paid internship in a department at the time that was dreamy for me, you already are given the job opportunity that you are studying for, so put this on hold. So after 4 hours, going back to the campus and talking, and took 4 hours, so I picked I don't remember if I picked the phone or I sent an email, and I was like, hi, I'm really grateful. I actually had a thought about it, and I want to do this more than anything in the world. And then I got the job, and as they say, I never went home since. But I understand that kind of doubt, because school is important. I cannot think of a situation that is justifiable to just abandon it, but school is always there. Once you've gone into your university, there's more chances and more terms to take exams. Job opportunities like these are not what can keep coming to you. It's luck is being ready. That's one of the main thing that I kept in front of my eyes when I was sort of the age of these girls and getting my first steps into the music industry. And one of the main things was luck is being ready. When you are given an opportunity, you need to mold, move around, modify things, everything that you can modify on your side to basically be able to take this opportunity. So I hear very well what Asia is saying, but I'm glad to see that she immediately knows school is gonna be there, because it is, and because it's worth finishing, believe you me. But also do not just being neurodivergent. I had this precise and clean and timeline way for things. So for me at the time it was really hard to think, oh, I've come back to finish university, but I will put it on pause now because I'm doing this other thing. There is a sense of untidiness in that I really don't like. So I think that's what the main reason for me taking the 4 hours was at the time. But you need to be practical in these things, and I'm glad to see that Asia is already seeing that.
I went to a predominantly white dance studio. I was the only Black girl. A lot of times I didn't get picked for things based off my color and my size, child. So when I think about this opportunity, dancing with Lizzo and to be on stage touring, it's a dream come true. That's what comes to mind. I just love Lizzo. Like, what she's doing for us is just amazing, outstanding, and she understands us. It's definitely for us, by us. And to be a part of her movement, I feel blessed.
Ashley gets it. I think that's the reason why she uses the word movement. It's not just being part of a dance troupe. What Liz is doing with this TV show is changing things, will change things. The simple fact that we can see these things and talk about these things, as I said at the beginning of this video, it's unprecedented, and we need more, and we want more. There's something that I recently seen on TikTok. There's a new world that this show has opened to me, because most of the girls are on TikTok. I'm relatively old to understand TikTok, but I started to get there, to see what's there and to follow them. And after a while, a lot of people, a lot of other fat activists showed up in my For You page, and I was like, yes, so we are there. It's just very hard to find each other. And you think an algorithm like TikTok, oh, maybe, they understand what you want to hear, so they will give you more of that. There's another kind of content that TikTok pushes to me incredibly heavily, and it's people with weight loss following gastric bypass. Now, first of all, know that I have absolutely nothing against anyone that goes through any kind of surgery for reclaim of their body. You will never hear me say a bad thing about that, because I know how it's a right. It's a thing that should be more normalized. We are given this envelope for our soul for a set amount of decades, and the very least that we should be allowed to do is to modify it to fit to show on the outside and to fit what we have on the outside as much as we can, as long as it's safe. So I don't have anything against that. But I find it interesting that if TikTok realizes that I'm fat and I'm interested in other people that are fat and talk about it, then maybe I should take a suggestion about maybe you want to consider losing weight somehow, maybe through surgery. So I'll show you all the people that have lost weight through surgery in no time, in less than a year. I find that a bit offensive, and then I'm reminded that TikTok is from China. And remember when we looked at the video about the beauty standards around the world, the study that was done, and there was just one country that had a beauty standard that was skinnier than Italy, and that was China. And when it's put into that context, I understand why the TikTok algorithm suggests me that. It bugs me. Sometimes it's genuinely a bit triggering. I have my reasons for never wanting surgery unless it's life-saving, so that's another story for another time, but that should be my choice as much as it's other people's choice to go through any kind of surgery, including gastric bypass, to get skinnier. I salute them because it do take guts to do that. No pun intended, ironically. So this is, even in this context, even being on TikTok to follow the girls from the show, I am reminded, but wouldn't it be nice if you were a bit skinnier? Don't you want to try? Don't you want to? The algorithm of TikTok thinks that if I'm following a fat activist, I should hear, I guess, the other side. And the other side is go under the knife to lose weight. And it's ironic because algorithms, for better or for worse, exist to basically, as I said before, telling us and make us find things that we're interested into based on what we've been interested into so far. So I've been interested in fat activists, show me more of that. It's really rare for an algorithm to give you the opposite because it goes directly in opposition with your interest, and the algorithm wants to appease you so that you watch more, stay more on the app. There's one thing higher than that, and it's fat phobia. And another thing that is higher than anything else is fat phobia in the concept of capitalism, because again, there are a lot of fat activists that I've seen on TikTok noticing how the refusal for bigger size of clothing, it's a direct rejection of our money. But I guess it's better not to have the money. So the only thing literally more powerful than capitalism is fat phobia, for the idea of I'd rather not have more money for my fashion brand if it means not having my clothes on someone fat. We have grown to see fatness as so disgusting that corporations are ready to lose money, which is the only god they serve, if it means not acknowledging and not supporting in any way the survival and existence just by giving them clothes to fat people. Peculiar, isn't it?
The real tea is I love Jayla. I think that she is, there's just something about her that I want on my stage all the time. I want to turn her into a real dancer, like a real professional dancer. But it's just like, we can't just want it. She got to do it.
Exactly.
As I said before, I have a very, very soft spot for Jayla. It might be because my wife is a trans woman as well, but there's a level of connection that I feel to her story, that every time that something happens or it impacts me. The part about being on stage, but then naturally almost ruin information because her natural tendency is to step back and not to necessarily, familiar as she feels on stage, it's not, it doesn't evidently feel that comfortable, they're natural, that immediate for her to be in front of the stage on top. The fact that with all of these, and then she feels still like taking a bit of a step back, even in a context where, as Lisa says, like people are here because they want to see you, they want to watch you, give them what they want. You might think that because I can be supposedly easily on camera, I wouldn't have an issue. Like, yeah, oh, give me more attention. I cannot imagine what it is like to be on a live stage and having my mind improvise what I'm doing. It's I don't know how these girls do what they do, and I look up to it immensely. For months now, I have considered getting into spoken word performance and poetry, because this is a very brief story. I've kept a diary for for decades, and it's written in a very peculiar way. Sometimes when I started to get around the spoken word poetry like button poetry, I realized, oh my God, the way that they are speaking is the way that I wrote. I didn't know. So I've wanted them for months to test this, and there are plenty of opportunities here in Cardiff. There are queer nights, there are plenty of situations where I could have done that. And I've done like little steps to ask, oh, this is an open mic night, this is that, is there room for spoken word? And the moment that they would get back to me saying, yes, there is, I'll put you on the list. And I'm like, no, I don't even know if I can come. No, you joke. Well, no. Even just doing something like this in front of probably 20 people, it's something that makes me that nervous, and I still can't quite push through and do. I want to, I will do it. I have things outlined. I know that Baton Poetry takes submissions in the summer usually. Those are all things that I want to do, but I'm working up to it. And in this context, the fact that they're gonna dance in front of thousands of people, and there are points where they're just there to look at the people and to entertain the people and to be looked by the people. I understand Jayla's tendency, even doing her job well as she does, to sort of feel like when I can, I take a step back. It's hard to move away from that because when the world has just used you as a bullseye to hit you with different things, you learn that the more you are invisible, the safer you're going to be. So it do take nerve already to step outside of that and deciding to be in the front line, being a dancer, being a YouTuber. I am much more protected than them, but it takes something to be able to do that when you know that it's just gonna be safer if you keep on being invisible. If the world doesn't see you, doesn't know that you exist, if you do exactly what they want, which is disappear, then they can't know that you exist to come after you. But that means giving up on life. They are asking us to do that. Fatphobic people and haters are asking us to do that, to give up life. They might say all they want that with our fatness and unhealthiness we are going to have a shorter life, but in saying that, the truth is they are saying right now you are not allowed to have a life outside in the world, because if I see you I will shout at you, all these kind of horrible things. We cannot give up life for that. They want us to give up life. It doesn't matter the concern trolling that they are using. That's what they want, and that's what we can't give them, because we have one life and it's there for us to enjoy. So fuck them.
Come on a roll. And I feel like after she did that backflip and made the crowd go wild like that, there's no coming back. You're a showgirl now, bitch.
Oh my God!
You gonna dance your ass on?
Yes!
Come get your tour pass.
I'm in shock. I always just kind of automatically assumed that I would be going home. But now I'm going on tour. I can't even put it into words. Like, I'm trying not to cry. I'm trying not to, like, just scream with excitement. Like, I'm over the moon.
I cannot express, again, how important this is. There's a whole performance and then most of the girls are past the audition. They're going on tour. Jayla is going on tour as well. And even the ones that don't pass through, Lisa is like, don't worry, it's just because on tour, performing all of these every night, too much. But if I do a video shoot, if I do any kind of TV show, I'm calling you, you're still in. That is amazing. That is part of that sisterhood of no one is left behind. I know that Lisa knows it. I know that the people involved in this know this. Let me stress and reiterate one more time how crucial, important it is to see these bodies, to see someone like Jayla being considered for her talent and going through this path of self-bettering and self-discovery, and then it's rewarded. She's done Treasure Island, she's gonna go on tour. And the fact that she even says, I always took for granted that I was gonna be one of those that go home. And in that sentence, there is so much that tells her story. We are used to count ourselves out because that's not what the world wants. The world doesn't want us. The world doesn't want to see us, let alone like us and appreciate us, or even give us opportunities as big and supposedly as glamorous as this, everybody wants something glamorous. Nobody is gonna accept a fat girl, a trans girl getting that. But guess what? It happens, and it matters to be shown because it gives hope to those that are not on that side of the camera and are just home watching this stuff, and maybe they are fat, and maybe they are trans, and maybe they still want to do all these normal things that a girl should be able to do, and now they know it's possible. They have seen it and they know it's possible. This is a revolution of the mind. Thank you so much, Lisa, for making this show. We have got to the end of this wonderful series. I am already missing it. I don't know if you can tell, but I don't want it to end. It's such a revolution. I keep on thinking, oh, what if teenage Alicia, 12-year-old Alicia, had seen something like this and could have got, just by watching it, a bit of that sass, a bit of that flaunting, because she had been shown it is okay. It is okay to be proud of who you are. It is okay to dance if you can dance, if you want to dance. Not being automatically cut out because who wants to see that fat thing dance? No, I can. Why can't I? It gives me hope. I wish I had this for myself, but I hadn't. But now this generation has this kind of example, and there are still the haters and there are still the bad voices, but I think we're getting slowly to the point where the judgment on that voices will be really clear, and history will understand what was the right side of that. And the right side of this battle for human rights was solidarity and understanding and supporting each other. And it's amazing what this show has done in that sense. So thank you for making it, Lisa, and thank you all for having had the patience to go through the entire series with me, hearing my random bits and bops and thoughts. I actually have mentioned a few very interesting, in my opinion, feminist books and non-fiction books. I will link them all in this final episode. I'll probably go back and link them all in the other episodes as well. Even if it's not mentioned in this video, it's one of the books that some of my ideas basically come from. So hopefully that can be useful for you as well if you want to explore more of where all these ideas come from. Thank you so much for coming onto this journey with me. We have a new video essay coming at the end of the month on the 25th of April, and then there's more and more to come here on Femme Fatales. So thank you for your support. Thank you for spending time with me. I will see you soon.